Hare Krishna. This is See Through. Um, it is a podcast with me, Achyuta Gopi. Welcome, welcome. So good to see all of you. Um, if you are new, welcome. If you are not new, also welcome. We have those who are joining us in our live Zoom room through Patreon. And then we also have those who are joining us on YouTube, and we'll have regulars in both places. So thank you for being here. Thank you for joining. Thank you for being all that you can be. Last week we were journeying through Krishna book, and we'll continue journeying through the pastimes of our dear most supreme best friend, because he is amazing. We were reading the story of Dhenukasura, and this week I decided that we are not going to let go of that story just yet. We're going to continue on with that pastime, but from another celebrated, very well trusted source, the Garga Samhita. So if you've been with me for some time, then you know that I often like to read from Garga Samhita because I feel like it adds in some really nice and fun details that I like to keep in mind. So we'll continue with Garga Samhita. Garga Muni was the family priest of Vasudeva. He was also a very prominent priest in Mathura and Vrindavan. And so he goes and he performs the name giving ceremony and all of the birth purificatory rites of Krishna and Balaram. And because he does all of that, he has gotten a chance to see so many of the pastimes of Krishna and Balaram. And then he describes them. And then Narada describes them to a king named Bahulashva. So this is Garga Samhita. And we like to go back and forth between the two because I've heard that love is in the details. And I love all of the details. So getting to know our dearest friend, getting to know Krishna, it's all about the details. It's all about diving deeper and deeper. And the more that we read Krishna book, the more that we try to hear the glories of our Supreme Lord, the more we want to hear. And the more we want to hear, the more perfect our life becomes. Because Srimad Bhagavatam says over and over and over again that the goal of our lives is simply to somehow become immersed in constantly hearing and chanting the glories of our dearest supreme best friend. And it is so easy. It's as easy as this, as coming together on a Monday morning or evening or afternoon, depending upon where you are in the world, but gathering together with like-minded souls who are also there and ready to cheer you on, and simply having the determination to say, we are going to come together, we're going to read Krishna book, and we're going to get the most out of it. We're going to squeeze the sweetness out of all of these pastimes. So that's what we're here for, to squeeze some juice out on our Monday, to make our week really nice and auspicious. So without further ado, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Now we're ready to journey into Sri Vrindavan Dham. We're no longer in our homes. We're no longer in our countries or cities. Now we are entering into the divine realm of Krishna's playground, filled with soft velvet dust, sweetly humming bees, sweetly, amazingly chirping birds. We have the breezes of Vrindavan, which carry not only the pollen from many, many lotus flowers, but also carries the scent from the body of Sri Krishna. How fortunate is the breeze of Vrindavan. We have the beautiful sun of Vrindavan. We have all of the trees of Vrindavan, who we heard last week were perfecting their lives just by reaching out and being touched by the body of Sri Balaram, the great protector of all of Vrindavan Dham. Sri Balaram is so eager to serve Sri Krishna that he even manifests as Vrindavan Dham, as Braj Mandal. He manifests as all of Krishna's playground. He manifests as all of his paraphernalia, as anything that Krishna could ever want or need. Balaram decides to expand himself and manifest as such. Imagine if we had the eagerness to serve, so much so that we would do whatever Krishna wanted, whenever Krishna wanted, just to make him smile, just to somehow see Krishna happy. And that is the basis of Sri Balaram's life and existence. So welcome to Sri Vrindavan Dham. Welcome home. It's been a long time, it feels like. It's been a week, but that week felt so long without extra sanghas in between. And so this week we are fortunate because at the end of this week for me will be Ekadashi. And so we'll have extra sanghas. Feel like Krishna decided, no problem. Let's make sure that we don't miss each other so much anymore. So welcome home. Welcome to this beautiful abode where anything is possible, where every tree is a wish-fulfilling tree, where every word is a song and every step is a dance. And there are millions and millions of beautiful cows everywhere, cows that Krishna knows by name. So we're beginning with Sri Garga Samhita and a description of Sri Krishna's herding the cows. So I decided to start just a little bit before the killing of Dhenukasura, because why not? Sri Narada said, by the wish of the adult gopas, Krishna and Balaram were placed in charge of protecting the cows. So we heard about this last week when Krishna turned 6 years old-ish. They put him in charge of big animals. But we also discovered that Krishna was not aging like the average child. He was aging about 1.5 times that of the average child. So he didn't look quite so small. So they were placed in charge of protecting the cows. Herding the cows with their gopa friends, Krishna and Balaram would walk in the forest. Walking before, behind, and on both sides, the cows gazed at Krishna and Balaram's handsome faces. I feel like that's sweetness to graze upon and gaze upon, both of them. The cows wore glittering golden necklaces, a network of small bells, and tinkling anklets. Their tails were decorated with peacock feathers and bunches of pearls. They were splendid with necklaces of 9 jewels. If this is how they would decorate their cows, imagine how they would decorate themselves. This is why I think it's so important, and it's a devotional service for us to decorate ourselves for Krishna. Even the cows. How incredible is that? O king, a crown jewel placed between their horns made them beautiful. They have crowns. They have crowns. You know what? I don't care who you are. I don't care what gender you are. Everybody should dress up for Krishna. Clearly, because cows, their horns were plated with gold. Some had yellow tails and red hooves. They were decorated with red tilak. They were like many Mount Kailashes. They had virtues, good character, and beauty. I just recently saw a video, and there were cows that had been inside a barn all winter, and they had let them go outside as the weather got warmer. And the cows would walk down like a dirt path, but the minute they would touch the grass, they all started jumping and running. And it was the most adorable thing ever, because cows tend to look like really big dogs. Sometimes, like when they're super happy, I'm like, you know, you're not small like puppies, right? But they act like it. And so they were jumping and they were running and their milk bags were swaying. And all I could think of were these descriptions of Vrindavan when they say that all of the cows would just run down Govardhan Hill just to see their calves. And their milk bags were heavy, but they were running anyway. It didn't matter. And that's what these cows reminded me of. It is true. Who knew? Like, Krishna book is real. O king of Mithila, accompanied by their calves, they walked slowly, their udders full. Some were like great red patala flowers. They were very beautiful. Some were yellow, some multicolored, some black, some green, some smoke colored, and some cloud colored. I love Vrindavan because nothing is what we think it is. Here you've got like what, 3 colors of cows? You've got brown, you've got like whitish, you've got maybe tan, and then you've got blackish cows. And here some were smoke colored and green and all of these different, like nothing is what we think it is when it comes to Sri Vrindavan Dham. How incredible is Vrindavan when you think, and they describe Govardhan Hill, and Govardhan has a wealth of colors on its hill, and you think, I thought, this is only in Vrindavan, Goloka Vrindavan. This can't be manifest in this material world until I was face to face with Govardhan, and I'm looking and I'm saying, your stones are all different colors. He was a complete rainbow of colors, and it was the most amazing thing I had ever seen, because I realized it's all true. Even here, it's all true. It all happens. Amazing. Some of his stones were bluish, and some were reddish, some were purple, some were golden colored, some were like silver and crystal. And I was looking going, no, like it's real. Like for real. Seriously. It's all true. How amazing is Krishna? Not even his cows have to be like anything we've ever seen. All their eyes were placed on Krishna, his form as dark as a cloud. Some had short horns, some long horns, some high horns, some had bent horns, and some had horns like a deer's antlers. Some were with many bulls, and some were brown and beautiful. Oh, he's so cute. Searching for tender and delicious grass, millions and millions of cows walked at Krishna's side through forest after forest. Its Jamuna shore very pure and sacred, and its groves decorated with many dark tamal trees, and many beautiful nipa, nimba, kadamba, praval, panash, kadali, govidar, mango, jambu, bilva, ashwata, and kapita trees, as well as many madhavi vines, beautiful in the springtime, and its glory eclipsing the Nandana, Sarvatobhadra, and Chetrarata forests of heaven. Transcendental Vrindavan forest was splendidly manifest. And still, all we have to do is have the desire to see it. And it's still manifest, even today. In Vrindavan forest, on the beautiful hill named Govardhan, which was made of precious gems, had many glorious caves and swiftly moving streams, and was filled with many beautiful mandara, shrikanda, badari, ramba, devadaru, vata, and so many other trees, and filled with kokilas and peacocks. Krishna wandered from forest to forest as he herded the cows. O king in Vrindavan, Madhuvan, Talavan, Kumudvan, Bahulavan, Divya Kamavan, on the summit and slopes of Nandishwar hill, in beautiful Kokilavan, which was filled with the singing of cuckoos, in beautiful Kushavan, which was filled with many flowering vines, in beautiful and sacred Badravan, in Badiropavan, in Lohagar, wow, in shore after shore by the Jamuna, and in forest after forest, handsome Krishna in yellow garments, dressed as a dancer, holding a stick, decorated with peacock feathers, a crown, and many garlands, playing his flute and delighting the gopis. Krishna was splendidly manifest. Placing the cows in front and playing many melodies on his flute, Krishna returned to Nanda's village in the evening. Hearing the sound of the flute and seeing the cows' dust fill the sky along the Vamshivat path, the gopis, to put their anxieties far away and to taste the highest happiness, and unable to forget him, went to see Krishna. There's a wonderful story, and it says that Sri Radha, in her home, has a moon tower made of crystal. Because why not? Of course, in Vrindavan, you would have a moon tower made of crystal. And sometimes, what even is a moon tower? Like, who even has those anymore? But it's like a lookout. And this moon tower could be used as like an observatory, where you go to see so many different constellations, etc. But also, this moon tower was used for a specific purpose. All of the gopis, and Radharani included, would sit in that moon tower and they would look for Krishna Balaram all day. They would have a view of the many, many forests in Vrindavan. They would have a view of Govardhan Hill, and they would be looking from this moon tower, simply trying to catch a glimpse of Krishna Balaram. And so when they would see the big dust cloud of the cows' hooves, and they would see this great, almost like a parade of boys coming back toward Vrindavan in the evening, they would know Krishna and Balaram were coming. And they would leave that moon tower and they would all go rush toward Vrindavan to go and catch a glimpse of Krishna and Balaram. And I was thinking, how amazing if I really spent my day looking for Krishna. When is Krishna coming home? Seeing the dust in the evening, thinking, Krishna must be coming. Our days could be spent simply remembering the daily pastimes of Krishna and formulating our days around those daily pastimes of Krishna. Oh, now what is Krishna doing? Oh, well, Krishna's preparing for his afternoon nap. Okay, well, now what is Krishna doing? Well, Krishna will wake up soon. In Vrindavan, everything revolves around Krishna's schedule. And you can figure and find out that in your day, everything in your day revolves around Krishna's schedule. So it's, you wake up, what are we going to do in the morning? Well, we only have this much time in order to catch darshan before the noon arti. And then after that, Krishna goes to sleep. You won't see him again till the evening. 3-hour naps. And so then you're planning your day. Okay, what do I do with these 3 hours between 1 and 4? What do I do? And so sometimes you figure you can do all kinds of administrative things in your life. You can do laundry, you can do all those things. But then by the evening, you kind of know, well, 4 o'clock is coming. I have to go and catch darshan. And then sometimes when you go to catch darshan, the deities make you wait. They want to know if you really want to see them. And so you're there and you're thinking, well, they should be opening. Isn't it like 4:30? And then it's 4:45, and then you're waiting. And then sometimes and you're thinking and you're like, oh, this is too much. And then finally, those curtains open. And when those curtains open, we can feel just a fraction of the joy, the anticipation that the gopis and all of the residents of Vrindavan were feeling as Krishna comes home in the evening. Just a fraction. But that joy is enough to last us throughout our whole day. And this is Krishna. So the gopis were all running to catch a glimpse of Krishna. May Lord Krishna, who did not leave the path, who slowly brought the cows with him, whose glance was like a lion's, whose playfulness was like a baby elephant's, whose eyes were lotus petals, who was the object of the gopis' glances, who was decorated with cow's dust, who had handsome black hair, who wore golden armlets, who was glorious with a crown, who shot arrows of crooked glances from large eyes that seemed to almost touch his ears, whose jasmine garland was decorated with cow's dust, who wore the whorl of a blossoming lotus on his ear, who wore yellow garments, who played the flute, and who removed the earth's burden. May that Lord Krishna protect us all. What a description. What a Lord. my sister and I were speaking, and we were really coming to the realization that many traditions and many spiritual faiths have no concept of a very personal God. Even when you get to the abode of God, God is not so personal that he will speak with you. And here we serve a supreme person who is eager to speak with us, even when we are here in this material world. What to speak of the spiritual realm? We have a Lord who is eager to introduce us to his family members. How incredible is our Krishna? How incredible is bhakti? That you get to know what is God's favorite color. What does God smell like? What does God look like? All of the senses can be engaged in serving the Supreme Person just by taking darshan, by seeing the form of the Lord and by being seen by the form of the Lord. How incredible. And we have a Krishna who is not thinking that he is too important to speak to any living entity. Now he thinks, I'm so in love, I just want to speak to every living entity. And he comes and resides in our hearts, never ever leaving us. We left that spiritual abode and we wanted to become masters of our own fate. And so here we are in this material realm. But Krishna decided, I will travel with you. Even though you want me not to, I will travel with you even as Paramatma. I will never leave you. So through whatever mistakes, through whatever lifetimes, through however many times we have prayed to forget Krishna, Krishna has decided to stay firmly fixed in his position within the devotee's heart. And so, Achyuta is a name for Krishna that means that he is infallible. It means that he never leaves his position. He is firmly fixed. Where is one of those resting places? Simply the heart. How many songs do we have begging the Lord, "O Lord, please arise within the temple of my heart. Allow me to somehow remember you. Please make yourself known within the temple of my heart. Clear away all of those cobwebs that have been gathering dust for so long, and simply allow me to have that cherished darshan of you, even within my heart." Lord Brahma even also was praying for this. And then he was bewildered. "Oh Lord, I know that your form as the Virat Rupa comprises this entire material creation. I also know that you are present within my heart, and therefore I can experience you there. But also, my Lord, I know that you are now present before me." How inconceivable are all of the Lord's energies. But this is our Krishna. Handsome black hair, golden armlets, glorious with a crown, with arrows of crooked glances from large eyes that seem to touch his ears, a jasmine garland decorated with cow's dust, wearing a blossoming lotus on his ear in yellow garments, and playing a flute. This person, who appeared simply to remove the earth's great burden, and our great burdens as well. If we feel as though we are burdened within our heart, Krishna has appeared just for this reason, just to remove that burden. Krishna has appeared within each and every one of our lives. Shri Krishna Chandra Bhagavan ki jai, Vrindavan Bihari Lal ki jai. Shri Narada said, one day, as he was herding the beautiful cows with Balaram and all the gopas, Krishna went to newly blossoming Dhenukasura forest. Out of fear of an ass, Dhenuka, the gopas did not enter that forest. Even Krishna did not enter. Only Balaram entered. Tying the blue sash at his waist, very powerful Balaram entered that forest to get its ripe fruit, which I always think is so adorable. It's like you know, they mean business. They go and they like tighten the sash. I'm like, oh, come on. Why? So sweet. But also so adventurous. You're like, I was like, okay, I'm ready. It's gonna happen. Here we go. Roaring fearlessly, Balaram entered that forest. Balaram, who was Lord Anantadev himself, and whose strength had no limit, shook the tall trees with both arms and made many fruits fall. When he heard the sound of the falling fruit, the ass demon Dhenuka, who was very powerful, and who was a friend of Kamsa, and who had been taking his midday nap. See, we spoke about that midday nap business, right? Like, it's a problem. Became filled with anger. Coming before the Lord to fight, with his hind hooves, Dhenuka suddenly kicked Balaram's chest and neighed. I always, from when I was little, that very moment, I was always like, oh no. Like, how dare you? Because Lord Balaram is very sweet, but also he has a temper that goes 0 to 60, you know? He's very quick to anger. And then at any moment, anything could happen. Okay, let's see. Balaram chased Dhenuka, quickly caught his hind legs, and with one hand playfully threw him into a tall tree. When that tree fell, it made many other nearby tall trees also fall. O King of Kings, all this was very surprising. Then that king of demons again stood up and angrily grabbed Balaram. Now this is the part where I love the details because, you know, Krishna book of Srimad Bhagavatam, it was very done. Now the demon is still going. Let's see. Balaram suddenly grabbed Dhenuka, whirled him around, and as one elephant throws another elephant, threw him for 8 miles. This is why these children were allowed to take care of big, big cows. When you can throw a donkey 8 miles, you too can take care of many, many hundreds and thousands of cows. When Dhenuka struck the ground, his head was badly wounded and he fell unconscious. In a moment, though, he stood up, and this time his body was filled with anger. Dhenuka then manifested a terrifying form with 4 horns. Whoa! With his sharp and terrifying horns, he made the gopas flee. When the boys fled, Dhenuka chased them. Okay, stay with me now. Here's where it gets interesting. The boys were fleeing. Run away! Flee! And then Dhenuka chased them. But angry Sridama hit Dhenuka with a stick, and Subal hit him with his fist. Stoka Krishna whipped the powerful demon with a rope. Arjuna and Anshu threw him far away. Vishal and Rishabh kicked the demon. Tejasvi tried to strangle him. Devaprastha slapped him. Varutapa hit the great demon with a ball. This is my favorite paragraph in this entire story. All these little gopas were running away. Oh no, he has 4 horns. And then he decided to chase them. And then it was like they remembered, wait a minute. We are Krishna's friends. You can't beat us. And then they began to beat the demon. How incredible. This is the same demon. They didn't even want to enter the forest because they were so afraid of this demon. But because of the presence of Krishna and Balaram, they were made completely fearless and they remembered who they were. May this story serve to remind us of who we are. We are Krishna Balaram's friends. There's nothing that can beat us. And when we see those things that make us fearful, those negative thoughts that try to come and enter into our minds, like these Dhenuka demons, we can turn around and remember who we are. So, angry Sridama hit Dhenuka with a stick, and Subal hit him with his fist. Stoka Krishna, who was like little Krishna, whipped the powerful demon with a rope. Arjuna and Anshu threw him far away. Vishal and Rishabh kicked the demon, which is so adorable. If you just think about all these little boys, they converged on this big demon. They're like, ah! And they're beating him and kicking him. And even a little one, Varutapa, hit the great demon with a ball. Take this! Then Krishna grabbed Dhenukasura with both hands, whirled him around, and threw him on to Govardhan Hill. By the force of this, the demon became unconscious for an hour. In Srimad Bhagavatam and Krishna book, it seems very quick. An hour. Shaking off this form, the demon again manifested his original form. With his horns, the demon grabbed Krishna and carried him into the sky. 800,000 miles up in the sky they fought. I don't even know how to begin to figure out how far that is. I have no idea. I'm not going to try. It's going to make my brain overload on a Monday, and we don't need that. But it's far. 800,000 miles. Planes only travel 8 or 9 miles up into the sky. 800,000? This is clearly the Supreme Personality of Godhead. I don't know. Lileshri, I see you looking up. I can't look up that far. I don't even know. I don't know where I'm looking. I don't know what that's like. Krishna, the original Supreme Personality of Godhead, grabbed Dhenukasura and threw him to the earth. His bones broken, the demon fell unconscious. Again rising, the demon made a very terrible sound with his 2 horns. Uprooting Govardhan Hill, Dhenukasura threw it at Krishna. Yeah, the whole hill. Yeah, he just threw it at him, no problem. Okay. Catching the hill, Krishna then threw it at Dhenuka's head. The demon caught the hill and threw it at Sri Krishna. Krishna caught Govardhan Hill. Now, see, why are we playing? Stop playing past the hill. Put it back. Krishna then caught Govardhan Hill and threw it back to its original place. Thank you. After several rounds of past the hill, they put it back. Breaking the ground with his horns, the demon charged at Balaram, kicked him with his hind hooves, and roared. With that roar, the universe echoed and the earth shook. Then, with both hands, powerful Balaram grabbed the demon and threw him to the ground. His head broken, the demon fell unconscious. Well, I would fall unconscious too if my head was broken. His bones were broken, his head was broken. There's like he's a very resilient and determined demon. Then Krishna's elder brother Balaram punched the demon with his fist. With that punch, the demon died. The demigod showered flowers from the Nandana gardens. Leaving his body, Dhenuka manifested a splendid and handsome dark form, wearing yellow garments and decorated with a forest flower garland. Then a chariot filled with 100,000 of the Lord's associates, decorated with 1,000 flags, rumbling with 1,000 wheels, pulled by 10,000 horses, glorious with 100,000 chamaras, yellow, studded with many jewels, 8 miles long. Like, talk about a stretch limo. Have you ever seen a limo that long? Like can you imagine if a limousine came for you and it was 8 miles long, the whole block just so long. Beautiful, traveling as fast as the mind and decorated with many bells and tinkling ornaments, suddenly appeared. O king, the demon circumambulated Krishna and Balaram, and filling the circle of the directions with light, ascended that chariot and went to Goloka, far beyond the material realm. That's what happens for the demons. Can you imagine what happens for the devotees? How incredible is our Krishna? A demon got a reception like that. Huh. The king said, "O sage, why did he attain liberation? Who was Dhenukasura in his previous birth? Why did he get the body of an ass? Please tell me this in truth." Sri Narada said, ready? This is the interesting part. So interesting. Very interesting. He was the powerful son of King Bali, who was the son of Virochan, and his name was Sahashika. Once, he enjoyed pastimes with 10,000 women on Gandhamadana mountain. The sounds in that forest of the many musical instruments and ankle bells broke the trance of Durvasa Muni, who was in a cave nearby and was meditating on Lord Krishna. Very thin, with a long beard, walking with wooden sandals and holding a stick, and glowing with flames of anger, Durvasa, whose curse makes the universe trembled, left his cave and spoke to Shashika. Durvasa Muni said, "Fool, ass-like person, rise, become an ass. O demon, after 400,000 years in the transcendental circle of Mathura, in the sacred forest of Talavan, you will attain liberation by Lord Balaram's hand." She nodded his head. Because he had given Prahlad Maharaj the benediction, "Your descendants will not be killed by me," Krishna arranged that Dhenukasura was killed by Lord Balaram's hand. So for any who don't know, this is why Balaram kills Dhenukasura and not Krishna. So Krishna finds a little bit of these loopholes every so often. You'll find a person who was formerly one of Prahlad Maharaj's descendants, and Krishna can't kill him because he promised. And so Balaram usually dispatches of these demons. But also, these are the anarthas that only the Guru can help with. So last week we were speaking that Bhaktivinoda Thakur has written and given us so much information about what the demons represent. And so Dhenukasura represents gross materialistic intelligence and ignorance of spiritual knowledge. And so that ignorance of spiritual knowledge, this is something that only the Guru can help us with. And Balaram is Adi Guru. And so now we need Balaram's help and Balaram's mercy to eradicate this anartha of gross materialistic intelligence and spiritual ignorance within the heart. And so sometimes Krishna sends us so much help just when we really, really need it. So it is for this reason, many, many reasons, that he was killed by Balaram's hand. One day, because in Balaram's absence, he was herding the cows with the gopas, Krishna came to the shore of the Jamuna, which at that time was filled with poison water. When they drank the water poisoned by the snake king Kaliya, the cows and gopas at once fell dead at the water's edge. Then, with a nectar-filled glance, Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the Savior from distress, his heart melting with compassion, brought them back to life. And that is where we ended our Krishna book reading last week. I like that last line. Then with a nectar-filled glance, Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the Savior from distress, his heart melting with compassion, brought them back to life. So we ever wonder, does Krishna care what happens to us? The answer is yes. Krishna absolutely always cares what happens to us. His heart is always melting in compassion for us. And he can, with a nectar-filled glance, simply cast his glance over our lives and make it perfect. Sometimes we can think that perfection means we have all the wealth, we have all the objects, we have all the things, but that real wealth is Krishna's nectar-filled glance. That wealth makes all the other wealth seem trivial. Dhruva Maharaj, when he finally got darshan of Krishna, he thought, what have I been yearning for all this time? And why have I been yearning for it? I was looking for bits of broken glass, but you have given me the priceless diamond of your most cherished association. And little 5-year-old Dhruva had enough mental sharpness to think, what was I thinking? Oh Lord, I don't want anything. But the Lord's heart, once again melting in compassion, he decided, oh Dhruva, I will give you everything. I will give you everything that you desired. I will give you everything that you deserve. So sometimes we can hear that when Krishna favors a devotee, he takes everything away from that devotee. But we don't look at what happens after that. After he takes everything away from the devotee, just like Bali Maharaj, he gives him his very own self. And more wealth than he had ever taken away. And so we have to remember to trust in who Krishna is. And if it seems as though he's taken everything away, then this is simply the middle of the story. That comes right before he decides to give us his very own self. If we can keep our wits about us, if we can keep ourselves from saying, you know what, Krishna, I'm done with you and your games, I'm leaving, I'm out of here. If we can continue to surrender, and Srila Prabhupada often says surrender means that we trust Krishna. If we can continue to trust Krishna through the difficult times, Krishna gives us all of himself. And wouldn't we want that? Isn't that what we're really after? Because what is the example of Bali Maharaj? Bali Maharaj goes against everyone that he loves. He goes against his family, kind of. He goes against his guru. He goes against, well, his immediate family who was watching him at that moment, because when the Lord begins to take everything from Bali Maharaj, the Lord tests him again, as if the first test of giving everything wasn't enough, right? You know, you think, isn't this one test enough? Why do we need test part B? Why do we have a part A and a part B to this test? Why, Lord? But so first, Vamanadev asks Bali Maharaj, give me 3 steps of land. Bali Maharaj says, I promise, take what you like. Because first he says, only 3 steps to be measured by you? And he looks at him. Oh, young boy. Oh, beautiful boy. Please speak with some intelligence. Ask for something so great that after having obtained it, you will never have to ask for anything from anyone ever again at any time. Please be intelligent. He says, you look so learned, but you speak as though you have not learned everything yet. And so Vamana says, but if I'm not satisfied with 3 steps of land, who can say that I'll be satisfied with the wealth of the entire universe? I'm a Brahmin, and so we must be satisfied with what we get. I just want 3 steps of land. Shukracharya, his spiritual master, was quite angry. This child is not a child. He is Vishnu. He is not simply a dwarf Brahmin. He is Vishnu. Do not give him anything. Bali Maharaj says, but I've already promised. Says, look, in times when your life is in danger, lying is not an offense. Lie. Tell him you don't have anything. Tell him you didn't follow the Vedic scriptural injunctions. Tell him you can't give him anything. Just say no. Take it back. But Bali Maharaj was unwilling to take it back. So the earth said that she can bear any heavy thing except a person who is a liar. How can I become a great burden upon this earth? The earth that I protect and will rule. How? Fine. Shukracharya gets so angry that he then curses his very dear disciple, a disciple who he had previously brought back to life after Bali Maharaj had died in battle. He says, fine, you wayward disciple, I curse you. You think you know better than me, and now you seek to educate me. I curse you. May you lose everything. Which I thought was an interesting curse, because didn't he just tell him he was going to lose everything anyway? So now definitely he was going to lose everything. So he curses him. And so then this is already a test. Do you follow the order of your spiritual master, or do you follow Krishna's order? And when those 2 orders seem like they're on opposite sides, what to do? Bali Maharaj put all of his faith in Vamana. And then Vamana grew to an enormous size. And with 2 steps, he covered the entire material existence. And then he tested Bali Maharaj again. You've promised me 3 steps of land, but I've covered everything that you own and more in 2. You are a liar and a thief, and you will forever reside in hell for lying to a Brahmin. He then calls Garuda, and he then calls others, and he says, arrest this lying king. He arrests him and puts him in a cave. Now all of his family, his wife, children, everyone, they're lamenting. What has happened? Oh no! Even many of the demons at that time were ready to fight the demigods. This lying, cheating Vishnu has once again stolen our wealth and has cheated us. So many tests. Bali Maharaj at this point feels such shame. And Prahlad Maharaj comes onto the scene. Bali Maharaj can't even offer appropriate obeisances to his grandfather because he's bound up by the ropes of Varuna, these snake ropes that Vamanadev has commanded to bind Bali Maharaj and capture him. And so now he feels such shame that he feels like he cannot even look his grandfather in the eye, because Prahlad Maharaj was such a devotee. Who could be a devotee like Prahlad Maharaj? And now he's thinking, I brought shame to my family name. How can I look at my grandfather? How incredible. How incredible is Bali Maharaj? And so finally, with this final test, he says, my Lord, you have taken everything, but there is one thing that you have not taken. Please accept my very life. Accept my body, my mind, my soul. Accept all that I am. Place your third step on my head. That is all I wish. Vamana was pleased. By that simple act of surrender, Bali Maharaj had pleased the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Vamana tells him, you've passed my test, and I am now pleased with you for adhering to this great promise throughout any and all conditions. I will now give you the planetary kingdom known as Sutala, a kingdom that was commissioned to be built, commissioned by my very own self, by Vishwakarma. A planetary system that is even more beautiful than the heavenly planets. Not only does he give him the wealth of this Sutala Loka, but he says, I will reside there personally with you as your doorkeeper. I will guard your gateway. How beautiful is Krishna? He literally, Krishna says, I give you myself. And many times that is literal. I literally give you myself. I will live with you in your home, guard your doorways and your gateways. And so sometimes I think, oh Krishna, I surrender all that I am to you. Guard the very gateway of my heart and my mind. Guard my mind so that none of these offensive, negative thoughts then can come in and usurp my kingdom, your residence. Because Vamana also tells Bali Maharaj, if any of the demigods even look as though they are jealous of your wealth, they will have to deal with me. Anyone who wants to get to you will now have to fight through me to get to you. What a shield. What amazing armor. And so sometimes Vamana guards the door of Bali Maharaj with a stick. Very important doorman. And how adorable is it, because he's still sweet and small. And sometimes he goes to the heavenly planets to accept Indra's offerings and sacrifice as his younger brother. And then he goes back to Sutala, stays with Bali Maharaj, and he never leaves him. And this is a demon, born in a family of demons. So if you are not born in a family of Brahmanas, if you are not born in the right place at the right time, it doesn't matter to Krishna. Some of Krishna's most favorite people are the people who were not born in the right family at the right time to the right person. He loves those people. Look at Prahlad Maharaj. Look at Prahlad Maharaj's whole family. Look at Bali Maharaj. Look at all of them. So many people. And Krishna doesn't care. So sometimes I like to look at my own birth circumstances, things that lots of people would like to disqualify me for, and I think, but that makes me Krishna's favorite, so it's fine. It's totally fine. It's better than fine. It's awesome. So this is our Krishna, and he may test us. Part A and Part B. He may be testing us. He may be throwing curveballs into our lives, but also, with a nectar-filled glance, Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the Savior from distress, his heart melting with compassion, can also bring us all back to life. When we feel as though we can't pass those tests anymore, Krishna can help with nothing more than a nectar-filled glance. And when in doubt, we get by with a little help from our friends. Just as Prahlad Maharaj showed up for Bali Maharaj, our friends will show up for us also. They will plead on our behalf. Our spiritual masters will arrive on the scene just to help us. Krishna has never left us deserted. He has never left us alone. Even when it seems as though he is the one testing us, he is also giving us a cheat sheet. He has given us Srimad Bhagavatam, filled with prayers that we can repeat. We don't even have to make new ones. Simply repeating those prayers pleases Krishna so immensely. Even simply saying, "Oh my Lord, do you remember how you blessed your devotee Prahlad Maharaj? Do you remember how you blessed your devotee Bali Maharaj? Oh my Lord, do you remember how you blessed every single one of the cowherd boys and the cows and the calves and the mothers of Vrindavan? Do you remember? Oh my Lord, please just bless my life." That's enough. Krishna loves to be reminded of the many relationships that he's had and the many ways in which he has fulfilled and saved those relationships. He is the savior for those who are in distress. So if we find ourselves in distress, then I pray that our savior, our hero, swoops in to save the day. And he comes in with his infallible mercy and expands himself into our lives, showing us that he is personally present with us, no matter what. That's my prayer. That's my prayer. That's all I got. So here we have a takeaway because Lileshwari is awesome. The Lord is so kind to his devotee that when severely testing him, the Lord gives him the necessary strength to be tolerant and continue to remain a glorious devotee. Krishna doesn't give us only the test, but also the strength and tolerance for us to be successful, and all that just to make the devotee glorious. Indeed. In that regard, the Pandavas, they do say to Krishna at one point, they say, "Oh Krishna, we have a doubt. We feel like our lives are so riddled with tests and obstacles and hurdles that if anyone reads the story of our lives, they'll never want to worship you. Because it just seems like there's one obstacle after another and it never ever ends." But Krishna reminds them about how he has saved them after every obstacle, and that is the strength that devotees will gain from reading about the Pandavas. Because their story is not so different from ours, isn't it? Well, their story is a lot different from mine because my family members were not actively trying to kill me. I will say that. It's a lot different. Although we may feel like the obstacles are not so different, I understand that my life is not as bad as theirs. I was not sent into exile into the forest for 12 years and a 13th year of incognito where I had to go and hide, and if they caught me, I'd have to go back into 12 years now more. So thankfully, my life is actually not even as intense as the Pandavas. But Krishna will still come and save us. And that section is so incredible and glorious. Srimad Bhagavatam, 8th canto, chapter 22, text 29 to 30. The Lord is so kind to his devotee that when severely testing him, the Lord gives him the necessary strength to be tolerant and continue to remain a glorious devotee. All we have to do in order to pass the test is to keep calling out to Krishna. Remaining glorious doesn't mean that it won't hurt us, doesn't mean that we won't cry, doesn't mean that we won't feel upset. Simply means that throughout it all, we will continue calling out to Krishna. And all this to make a devotee glorious. From the back, from the end of Krishna book, in the super excellent pastimes of Shri Krishna, very end of Krishna book, there's a line that Srila Prabhupada states. And it is a line that my Guru Maharaj likes very, very much. And it is that a person's greatness must be estimated by how they deal with provoking situations. A person's greatness must be estimated by how they deal with provoking situations. And this is given in reference to the test of Bhrigu Muni. Bhrigu Muni goes to test all the three murtis, the three presiding deities of the universe. And first he goes and he tests Lord Brahma. Lord Brahma gets angry. He goes and he tests Lord Shiva. Lord Shiva gets very angry. He almost dies, actually. Bhrigu Muni almost gets impaled upon Lord Shiva's trident. But Parvati Devi stops him, lucky for Bhrigu Muni, and then tells Bhrigu Muni, maybe you should leave as soon as possible, because he's very angry. But then he goes to test Lord Vishnu. And he walks into Lord Vishnu's inner chambers, where he's sitting with Lakshmi Devi. And, you know, it's quite a romantic scene. Like, they're being really loving and romantic with one another. Now, can you imagine if you were just sitting with your person and you're being really romantic and somebody walks in and kicks you in the chest? I can tell you, I would not be unprovoked. I would be provoked to anger. Such intense anger. I would want to burn someone with my eyes. I don't have that mystical potency, but I would want it for that moment to burn them with my eyes. And instead, Lord Vishnu says, "Oh, great sage, I pray that my hard-hearted chest has not hurt your foot." What? Who does that? And so, a person's greatness must be estimated by how they deal with provoking situations. Even Lord Vishnu, how he dealt with such a provoking situation. Amazing. Then he said, "Oh sage, let me massage your feet." Bhrigu Muni had already taken up this test as a test. He was not really angry with any of the gods, and he actually did not even want this test to begin with. He didn't want to do it, but he had to. And so he offers profuse prayers. Lakshmi Devi actually curses the Brahmins at that moment. And she gets so angry with Bhrigu Muni. She says, "All of your Brahmin descendants, all you Brahmins, I will never visit you for very long. So all you Brahmins will always remain poor." Darn it. So close. But also, we get to transcend any of those designations by becoming a devotee. And when you transcend any of those designations by becoming a devotee, then you have people like Sudama Brahman, who had all the wealth. So much so that at one point, when Krishna is about to eat more of this chipped rice that Sudama has given him, which we'll come to later on in Krishna book, Rukmini Devi says, in essence, "Do you hate me? What did I ever do to you? Do you want to send me away for forever? Eat one more handful, and as Lakshmi Devi, I'll have to go live with this man for the rest of our lives, for the rest of eternity. Do you hate me? Why do you want to send me away? Don't eat, please don't eat anymore. You've already done enough. He will have enough wealth to last him for as long as time goes. But if you eat another one of those handfuls of this chipped rice, I'm going to have to stay with him for forever. And I just want to stay with you." So when we become devotees, we bypass all of those designations. And when we bypass all of those designations, Krishna takes direct control of a devotee's life. And when Krishna takes direct control of a devotee's life, wherever there is Krishna, there are unlimited goddesses of fortune. So never should we ever think that because Krishna has taken something away, it means that we are now bereft. We'll be left in a lurch. There's one last verse, and I know I've read it before, but I'll read it again because I really, really love it. And this is from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 2, Chapter 7, Text 18. Bali Maharaj, who put on his head the water washed from the lotus feet of the Lord, did not think of anything besides his promise, in spite of being forbidden by his spiritual master. The king dedicated his own personal body to fulfill the measurement of the Lord's third step. For such a personality, even the kingdom of heaven, which he conquered by his strength, was of no value. Commentary by Srila Prabhupada. Bali Maharaj, by gaining the transcendental favor of the Lord in exchange for his great material sacrifice, was able to have a place in Vaikuntha Loka with equal or greater facilities of eternal enjoyment. Therefore, he was not at all the loser by sacrificing the kingdom of heaven, which he had possessed by his material strength. In other words, when the Lord snatches away one's hard-earned material possessions and favors one with his personal transcendental service for eternal life, bliss, and knowledge, such taking away by the Lord should be considered a special favor upon such a pure devotee. So one who has given anything to the Lord is never, ever a loser. We only ever gain exponentially by that giving. So sometimes we can give preemptively when we know that so much is temporary in this material world. We give preemptively, even though we know it was going to be taken away eventually. It's fine. Krishna still accepts that as our tapasya, as our austerity, as us giving whatever we can. And that is all that's required. You just give what you can. Even if what you can one day is simply a leaf, a fruit, flower, or even water. Our beloved Lord, the Savior of the distressed, will accept it with a heart melting with compassion for all of us. Shri Krishna Chandra Bhagavan ki jai, Shri Shri Radha Govinda Dev ki jai, Shri Vrindavan Dham ki jai, Bolo Jai Jai Shri Radhe Shyam. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Thank you for being with me. Thanks for joining in on our trip to Talavan once again, where we got to see a whole bunch of amazing things, like Pass the Hill, a new game that I'd never heard of before, but was created, and then that was the last time they played that one. But we got to see so many things. We got to see Krishna coming home in the evening, covered by the dust of the cows and the hooves of with all the dust of Vrindavan. Imagine. I'm praying that each and every one of us feel the compassionate glance of Krishna in our lives today, because with that glance comes such unlimited mercy. I am praying and praying and praying that Shri Krishna protects us all. Krishna Balaram ki jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai. All glories to all of our assembled friends, Vaishnavas, folks. Thank you for being here. We'll see each other next week, same time, same place. Next week is going to be really special. We're going to have to deviate from Krishna book because that is Gaur Purnima. And so we'll have to maybe journey into Sri Chaitanya Bhagavat and read about Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, because why not? So I'll see you all next week, same time, same place, to celebrate the beautiful golden avatar of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And I pray that until then, you all have a wonderfully fabulous week. I'll see you all on Friday for our Ekadashi lecture, which will also be on Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, because how could we not? How could we not kick off a weekend of great events? So we'll be speaking about Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu this Friday. We'll be speaking about him again on Monday. I'm sure we'll be speaking about them all weekend. We'll figure it out, but I'm eager to see you all and see what we come up with, and during the week we'll see what else we come up with. But until then, wishing you all the best day. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Without all of you, none of this would be possible, literally and figuratively. So I bow my head at all of your many, many virtual lotus feet, and I'm looking forward to being with all of you again. Hare Krishna, Jai Jai Shri